Okay, hi, hello.
Yo.
Hi, we're
Here
back.
we are,
Up.
mom proof.
Hi.
We have a special
Yes,
guest.
we do. Another badass mom.
Yep.
Yep.
We're going to do the Badass Mom series.
I love it.
And this is Melissa Duran. And she's going to tell you more about herself. But you just need to know that Melissa comes through the same community we all live in, raising kids, working full time, managing a husband, managing sports, now starting her own consulting business, Essential Career Coach. We want to hear about that. But tell us about you. Like, what about you makes you a badass mom? Or just tell us about you.
Well, I don't know what makes me a badass, but so I am an executive recruiter and career coach with more than 20 years of experience in talent acquisition.
Dang.
And I am currently VP of recruiting with a boutique agency. We work in the tech industry. The agency is based in the New York area. And we partner with a wide range of companies, everything from early stage VC-backed companies to Fortune 500 companies, and we help them to, fill their open positions. A few years ago, I started Essential Career Coach after being laid off on April 1st.
Oh, wait.
okay.
We talked about that in a
What
minute.
the hell?
April
It was
1st,
not a joke.
2020.
That's terrible.
Oh, wow.
Did they
Was-
even know?
Okay, I'm
Not
sorry,
a joke.
Mr. Employer.
Yeah,
Or
he could've-
that's
yeah.
why you could have waited a day.
Yeah,
4 hours.
exactly.
Gosh.
It wasn't a joke via Zoom. That I feel like that's
Oh.
a story for later. But
Yeah, over wine, with wine and
Yeah.
cocktails.
but actually turned out great because through that experience, I started Essential Career Coach because I thought at that point during 2020, when everything was being shut down, the sooner I could help people get back to work, the sooner I could get back to work as a recruiter. So that's where the idea for Essential Career Coach came from. So it did go on the back burner for a while, but now I'm trying to focus more and more on that.
Yes, and a little spin with the kind of college age launching,
Exactly.
which really piqued
How many kids do you have?
her own
I have
children,
3.
offspring. Yeah.
Three. One's in college.
Mhm.
She's a freshman.
Yep.
And the other 2 are juniors. Twins.
Oh,
wow.
Oof.
Twins.
Yeah, twin
Yeah.
girls.
Yes.
And they have beautiful curly hair, but it's red.
Red hair. I don't know how that
It's
happened.
so cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So Essential Career Coach for me, I work with both seasoned executives as well as students
Mhm.
and help them through their job search journey. And through my experiences as an executive recruiter, working both on the corporate side and on the agency side, I've looked at thousands of resumes and LinkedIn profiles, and I've interviewed thousands of candidates. So those experiences have given me deep insights into what it takes to really stand out in a
Oh.
competitive job market. So
Well, even when we were walking the other day and she was like, do you know how to answer the question, tell me about yourself? And I was, you're thinking, oh, that's open-ended. I have so many angles. But Melissa, is like there's really a nuance to that,
There
and you don't have to
is.
give it all away. But do you want to chat about, how this?
Well, I want to know.
I know. I know.
You have to get a
You have to get on her schedule. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding.
So, I think we all want to talk about ourselves. So it
do.
seems like it's an easy question to answer. But a lot of times people, they just fumble the answer to that question because they give too much information or they're all over the place and they're not really honing in on what the interviewer wants to know.
Mhm.
Right. So, and through asking this question, and while it sounds like a harmless question, it's really packed with a lot of information because a recruiter or an interviewer is paying attention to your delivery. How are you communicating? What is it that you're choosing to tell me? And are you saying it in a confident and succinct, way?
Mhm.
So I do give a framework for answering this question using the present, past, future framework. So you talk a little bit about what you're currently doing. I'm currently VP of recruiting at blah, blah, blah. In the past, I worked on the corporate side, in HR and recruiting. And now I'm a career coach and my mission is to partner with executive executives and students to help them with their job search process. So that was like just a really quick,
right there, man. I know.
right? So if you just think about it in that way, but again,
How many
preparation.
parents actually talk to their kids about that? I think one of the things I really was excited about is knowing that you want to help get kids ready for this too. I mean, we're so into making
We all
sure
have college
they're
kids.
good emotionally and they have their college apps. and the right direction.
Relationally.
Right.
But they need to learn this sooner than later.
Yeah. So I'm going through it right now with my son, who's a freshman, and I'm telling him he needs to start now. But high school kids can also start, preparing for these and sort of building those muscles in preparation for when they finish up
I love it.
at university.
And even like when you go to college, though, they ask some pretty intense questions, I think, depending on where you apply to. But that could really help kids.
Like in the college app
yeah,
process.
through the college app process.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah. And I think a lot of kids, due to the pandemic, were impacted, right? They didn't have that social interaction, at various ages, whether it was at the elementary school age, middle school age, or high school.
Yeah.
So they kind of missed out on those key social interactions that help them to be better communicators and help them be more confident when they are talking to strangers or new people.
Right.
So I do have some, clients sometimes that are just really uncomfortable or they're dealing with anxiety and things like that. So just trying to coach them through making them feel more at ease in an interview setting, which is already kind of a stressful situation.
So you're sort of a therapist too.
Yeah.
Kind of, but I'm not licensed.
No, we're not going to put your info out there. Let me ask you this. How did it feel when you got laid off and you had to talk to your kids about it?
Yeah, nice.
Okay.
That's just being, it's
Real.
reality, right?
Yeah.
So what do you say?
And it's uncomfortable.
It is
Trying to
uncomfortable.
get comfortable with uncomfortable
Great
things.
question.
Yeah.
It was uncomfortable for sure. I can't say that I didn't see it coming, right? Given the industry, given that companies were putting all of their job searches on hold, yada, yada, it just wasn't sustainable. So I knew it was coming at some point, but it still blindsided me. It still stung. And it was on April 1st.
Yeah.
So, it was done over Zoom. And my children were home because they were doing online school. So they were in their respective rooms. And after it happened, I first told my husband. I think I was in shock and I tend to make jokes. That's my defense. mechanism.
Humor is important.
I was like, guess what, honey? I just got laid off. Not April Fools.
Yeah. Sure you know.
Yeah. And he was like, wait, what? So anyway, after the kids came down, we came downstairs in between their classes. I let them know that this happened. And I think I said the same joke. And inside I was like, shit, what now? Like nobody's hiring. This is going to be a difficult thing to navigate. But I also had to put on the brave face,
The mom
right?
face.
To just be like, it's going to be fine. We're going to figure it out. And guess what? We have more time with each other. Kind of put the positive spin on it.
Yeah.
So
It's hard though.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It
When
was
you have
tough.
to give difficult information to your kiddos, it can be challenging.
yeah. But I was listening to y'all's podcasts, and I know modeling is a big thing with you guys. So I was trying to model a positive attitude in the face of a very, negative, demotivating situation where you feel completely crushed. Wait, I gave 6 years of my life to this company, and you're just letting me go just like that.
Think of how many times our teenagers, they may not have given the 6 years because their times are like dog years. It's like a day is like 7 years. But think of how many times they are crushed or disappointed. And a lot of it's academic in a highly competitive school system or sports related because most of our kids have played sports or cheer.
Yeah.
And it's tough to know how to navigate that. So how have you as a mom, and you have, really extreme committed athletes, how have you managed that? Because one of your kids just chose to not stick with sports as a junior year, and they're twins. So, there was this dynamic. Anyway, talk about that if you don't mind.
So the little backstory there is both my girls have played volleyball since they were in 6th grade, and both club and in school. And it's just crazy sports mom and dad, I mean, traveling all over the place, going to all these things, spending
I think
crazy
volleyball
amounts
maybe
of
the
money.
most one. Crazy.
And the high school, so both girls decided that they weren't going to play in college. So we kind of, as a family, sat down. You kind of every season you sit down and you say, what are we working towards? Do you still love it? Do you want to put in the time and the effort? And we also made sure that they understood that this was a family commitment, not just a Ava and Zoe commitment. Right? It's a family commitment because we are all sacrificing our time, our money, our energy into this sport. So we made sure that do you really love this? Are you still having fun? And is this something that you want to commit to? So over the years, the answer was always yes, but then it got to the point where they were like, I don't really see myself playing in college because they both want to go to a D1 school. They just didn't think they were good enough to play at that level. Maybe at a D3 school, but they don't want to go to a D3 school. So anyway, they both also had to try out for the high school. And my daughter Zoe made the varsity team, but my daughter Ava did not. She was offered a position on the JV team, and out at our high school, which is super competitive for whatever reason, the culture is that if you're a junior on the JV team, that's not cool. It's not a good thing. So
that's not good enough.
Not good enough, which is also heartbreaking.
It is.
That just
we were just talking about that with the guest we had recently that was really into athletics as well, and just kids think.
That's their whole identity.
They're just crushed.
That's it.
Yes. Yeah. And so with Ava, so I had to celebrate Zoe for making the varsity team and be really excited because this was a goal of hers. And I also had to help Ava through this soul-crushing, decision of I was offered a position on JV. I'm not going to take it. It's embarrassing. Those were her words. It's embarrassing to be a junior on the JV team. So it was tough, and I did find myself, I think, being more sensitive to Ava than to Zoe. And of course, you feel guilty about that too, because you can't have
guilty as a mom?
Yeah.
No, never. No.
But I think we did have conversations with Ava and just let her know this isn't her whole identity, and pointed out all of the other things that she does in her life and all of her friends and how she's excelling in school. And
I was so proud of her. Only because, picture having a twin, right? I just think there's so much together identity too.
Especially girls.
Yeah. And then for her to accept, well, first of all, that she knew she wasn't disappointing y'all. Y'all were so good about how you allowed her to figure it out and to make her own decision. That's uncomfortable. That's tough.
It is tough. And I think, we've just never been the type of parents that have, push our kids in such a way where, we make threats. Like, if you don't work with your ball, there's going to be consequences. We didn't make those kinds of demands on our children. I mean, I've heard stories of parents who, will be really harsh on their kids, and even on the court during games, you hear things being yelled, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh,
we've seen it."
Shame
on them.
But I think there's, the coaches have a role, the students, the athletes have a role, the parents have a role, and the parents' role is not to coach. The parents' role is to parent, right? So know your role. Right? And to be there.
I love
and
that.
Be supportive.
That's a good one. Know your role.
Right? Maybe you were a coach at one time, but you're not coaching your kid now. Another coach is. And so your role is to be there for your kid when things don't go their way. Right? Or to celebrate them when they're killing it and be their biggest cheerleader. So that's the role of the parent of a student athlete.
Student athlete. What do you think now that and we launched our kids, Jamie, you don't know a lot about Jamie necessarily. Jamie has about, how many kids do you have?
I have 6 kids. I've raised 7 through high school.
Yeah, she had an extra one tag in there.
Oh, you have earned your stripes.
That's right.
have. Man.
We have 2 each. You're
lots of money in therapy.
Lots of therapy.
I could have put
for you or the kids?
Both.
But we talk about like that launch to college. You did have your first one just launched to college. And that really is what spurred us on as moms and friends. We were like, oh my God, Jamie wasn't launching her first, but it was her last.
Yeah.
We were launching our first.
Yeah.
All girls, all friends. And so that was kind of, a neat commonality. What have you experienced, or what maybe some of the things you wish you have done differently? Maybe not, because regret's terrible. But when launching that guy, that amazing young man of yours.
So he's at Texas State University. He applied to a bunch of Texas schools. He applied to CU Boulder.
Nice.
I think his heart was set on going to Texas A&M. He's mechanical engineering is the major that he's selected. He did get into Texas A&M.
Oh, that's right.
Engineering. However, not at the main campus. He would have to do his freshman year, would have had to have done his freshman year, my English skills, at their
teacher.
Galveston campus, which is literally on an island, not even in Galveston.
Yeah, right side of Houston,
Yeah.
So he kept saying, I don't want to go to, I don't want to. He was happy that he was selected to go to A&M engineering school, but he was just dead set against going to school in Galveston. And honestly, Texas State he thought the campus was beautiful, but that was not his first choice.
Right.
So we did try to encourage. We were like, you made it. You're going to A&M University in the engineering program. This is a big deal, kid. And it's really just 9 months.
And then he would go to the main
and
campus.
then, you keep a 3.25 GPA, and then you would automatically transfer to the main campus, and then you get your big D1 college experience. And he, I think, had enough self-awareness to know that he just wouldn't be happy there. And so we had lots of conversations with him, and at the end of the day, he was steadfast, and it was ultimately his decision. And I'm glad that we didn't force him,
right?
And that he, went to Texas State, and he's thriving. He's loving it. He has fit in so well.
Kids know sometimes, don't they? We should listen more.
God, right?
Yeah. Right. I mean, we've heard of a few kids that don't like where they are right now, and they're coming back.
Yeah.
Right?
That happened to us.
Just didn't work
to our
out.
girls. Remember not happened to us.
I know
but
what you mean.
That class, several kids came back at the Christmas break and didn't go back because they just didn't like where they ended up.
They didn't like the vibe of the school, or
I think it was a lot of that. They just didn't like the vibe. It wasn't what they expected. And
maybe some of it too far from home.
Yeah, too far. I mean, my daughter
state.
went to San Diego State, and
she's killing it.
It was far, but I think she got really homesick. But she was like, this is where I want to be, right? And that's when what you're saying is when your kid knows where they want to be or what environment they want to be in. Then they stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, these are such huge decisions that these kids have to be faced with. I mean, I feel like it's a lot for a 17, 18-year-old.
Sure is.
We
expect a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And these are decisions that will impact the path.
Yes.
The course of their life in some way.
Yeah.
But that too, we also stress to our kids that, if you make this decision and you discover this wasn't the right decision, you can always change.
That's right.
You can.
I think that's important now to be able to remind our kids. You can change. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is okay.
Yes.
I mean, life is oftentimes about the pivot, not just the path.
That's right.
So that's a good one.
You like that?
It is.
I've used that before.
You need to put it on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
That's my next one. I like know your role.
Know your role.
Out of this episode,
this is know
parents
your role.
need to know their role. We do.
Well, and we talk about the kids' identity formation. That's part of what they're doing at this point, right? Between 13 to 18, almost 21, depends on the kid.
Yeah.
But I mean, they are trying to figure that out. So the fact that you're allowing that, I shouldn't even say allow, you encourage that is really cool. And do you feel like that has led you to be interested in this age group? Like now that you're kind of pivoting into a little bit more of early career support for young adults?
Yeah, I mean, I do love both. They are unique in terms of the different challenges or hurdles that they may be experiencing, when you compare students to people who already have a few years of work experience under their belt, right? Students are kind of like a lump of clay. There's a lot that they don't know. And so I feel like I have so much to share with them. Whereas, a seasoned executive, maybe they're dealing with one specific thing, such as being a better negotiator, right? Women, especially when it comes to compensation negotiation, and not always asking for more. That's one thing that I tell all of my clients is always ask for more. You should put that on a t-shirt too.
Always ask for more.
Wardrobe. Ask for more.
Always ask for more, because the worst thing that they can say is no.
That's right.
Right? And if it's no, then you say, well, how about a different title or some extra, but you just keep going. Anyway, that's a whole nother episode. But so with executives, it's probably more specific things, better interviewing skills or job search strategy. I mean, with AI now and all the tools that are available out there at our fingertips, so many experienced professionals don't even know all the things that are available to them.
Yeah.
In that regard, students are a lot more savvy. They know a lot of tools that are out there, but they don't know how to leverage them.
Right.
And how to develop a job search strategy.
Well, tell them just in a nutshell. And I know Jamie keeps our time, but
I'm the timekeeper.
She's the timekeeper because she can see the damn clock. I can't.
It's not that big of a job. Yeah.
Just how you were discovering, AI podcast. Like we were talking about, like, where to come down here, and I was like, oh, we use the studio. It's so great. And she was like, do you know you can do podcasts like with AI? I'm like, what? So it was just such interesting,
wild
stuff that just because you're kind of in that field of staying current, with job searching and so forth, just like that stuff. It's unique.
Exciting. That's one thing I really love about my job is that I'm exposed to so many different types of companies selling various types of products or services or technology. So I feel like that does help me stay fresh in terms of what's out there.
Relevancy.
And I can actually talk to my kids about things that they may have never heard of, but also I learned so much from my kids too.
Right.
Your kids help keep you young and hip and cool, kind of, even though they don't think I'm very cool. But yeah, I mean, AI is also something that I think a lot of people are pushing against it, but it's not going anywhere. And we need to embrace it, and we need to teach our children how to use it properly. Because it can help in so many ways. And I think, I think school districts should actually take a different tact or a different approach to educating our students in how to use AI to become more efficient at whatever it is. I mean, it's there. It's not going anywhere. And in fact, a lot of employers want to hire people who already have some experience with AI.
It's so unique, man. We better get on it,
It's
ladies.
everywhere across so many industries.
Yeah, it's integrated even in like medical. I have a friend who's in the medical field, and they're asking their employees to use some AI tools. And like these are some older people, and they're like, God, I have to learn this whole thing, But
it sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Until it replaces us. No, I'm kidding.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. I think once you know how to use AI, it can't
doesn't use you.
Hopefully, it doesn't. Replace you. But yeah, podcasts.
I know. I just think it's interesting. I know she sent me one, and I was listening to it. And I said the rhythm was a little mechanical.
Yes,
you could tell it was a generated one. Yeah. It was just very rhythmic, and I was like, nah. We're like,
you can hear it.
Shut up. No, you shut up.
You can hear it. Yeah, you can create an entire podcast just using AI.
Well,
They're
don't
not
let it
even real
replace you.
people.
You're too fun to talk to.
Thank you.
The whole idea is badass moms.
Yeah, that's right.
You're doing something pretty awesome. I mean, you're working hard. You've raised some kids. Continue to raise them. Yeah, it's not easy.
It's
and
not
helping
easy.
future generations, right? Like what you're doing with college. That's amazing. Is that like I'm sure that there's not a lot of companies out there doing
it. I do feel like she's on the front of it.
Yeah.
So I just recently did a talk
at
Texas State University.
Women in Business.
Yeah, was invited.
There was like hundreds of girls there, right?
Probably about maybe 80 to 100 kids.
Okay, the 100. No, there's a lot of guys.
About 100 kids. So, really excited to talk with them. I mean, this Women in Business or Association at Texas State is fairly new, maybe only 3 or 4 years in existence. And the university is growing like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So I think they just broke record numbers in terms of their freshman enrollment this year, over 40,000.
The freshman enrollment's 40?
No, the entire school.
Thank you. I was
But
like,
over
what's
40,
happening?
over 40,000
At that campus.
At the campus now. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's bigger than I thought.
so these students these young women are, eager to learn. They're like just soaking up all the information that you give to them. And the biggest hurdle that they are dealing with is how do you make that transition? And I think maybe some students are thinking, well, I just have to wait because I don't have the experience yet, or I don't have. No, you can start doing things now in terms of networking and maybe just even having coffee with people that are in the profession that you're interested in so that you can ask them questions and determine, is this something that I really want to, go into? And then there's the tactical, more practical pieces of it, right? Making sure all your job search assets are ready to go and continuously updating, right? It's not a one and done thing. It's, it's like flossing. It's a chore, right? We don't necessarily like it, but keeping your resume fresh, your LinkedIn profile fresh, it'll pay off in the long run, right?
I think that's a good tip to leave our listeners with.
Yes.
Tell your kids you keep your resume fresh and be working on it regularly. This is not something that your senior year
they should already
in
be
college,
on LinkedIn, right? Like if you're in college,
you should be
connected.
On LinkedIn.
100%.
Connecting.
Mm-hmm.
You should be on LinkedIn.
Yeah, we do have a question. Okay, we have a show. Okay. We end with a question.
Okay.
You just have to wing it. Okay. What is your secret strategy, all of y'all, for surviving those deep philosophical conversations? Do we have these with our young adults that somehow always end with Googling what is existential dread? That's hard. Okay,
That is not a good one.
I know. Hold on.
Okay. We reserve the right.
We reserve the right to throw that one
She's
down.
pivoting. She's pivoting.
Yes, there it is.
How do you keep a straight face when your child gives you their logical reasoning for why bedtime? See, no one's going to bed anymore. Why bedtime should be moved to 2 a.m. and all the rules of the household are clearly outdated.
2 a.m.
I know.
I don't make my kids go to bed.
I know. I don't make my kids go to bed at a certain time.
They do it on their own.
I used to, like kid number 1, 2, and 3, and then I realized I really didn't.
Well,
Well,
I
she has an 11-year-old.
I
learned.
do,
Yeah,
but
how
I
do you-
did. I mean, that's
did
kind
hear
of
that.
interesting, but
Our
so-
rules are outdated.
Just basically the
Well,
rules are
my
outdated.
rules are not
rules are outdated.
If you have elementary age
Yeah, I
school,
mean, well, my son's
even
in middle, but
even middle school, I think there should be like on the weekends you let them stay up a little later, but during the week the goal is to try to be in bed by 10 o'clock. Like,
Right.
lights out.
But I remember when Sophia was in high school and I was trying to make her have this curfew or like, what time she needed to go to bed. And I asked other parents and I did a little bit of research and they were like, well, now with cell phones and you can track them, it's a different story. We don't give our kids these rules anymore.
Okay, here we go to this new age parenting.
Well, I was like, well, you still
Sorry,
have
if
a
you're
curfew.
underage, you got to go to bed at this time.
Yeah.
Let's just call that.
Y'all are missing the question. It was how do you keep the straight face when they're negotiating with y'all? So it's
I
really
just
like
laugh now. There's a reason
Right, I
my
think
kids are all
humor.
out of the house.
I mean,
yeah, you got it.
yeah, she's an empty nester.
I know.
My negotiations typically revolve around did you get your chores done? Once your chores are done, then you can go.
Absolutely,
right? Then
absolutely.
You can do whatever it is with your
Well, what I started doing is like, you need to have X amount hours of sleep.
Oh, I like that too.
Oh, and let me guess, you're going to track it on the app.
No, but he's the one who's telling me like, because I was like, we got to go to bed at 9 because you have to wake up at whatever.
and count backwards.
Numbers, right? So, but he turned it around on me and told me, well, I'm going to go to bed at midnight on the weekends because I
get
can
up.
sleep as late as I want.
that little turd.
But I was like, well,
it might work. So he's a good negotiator. Well, you're just amazing. I mean, I'm just inspired by you and these other badass friends. I mean,
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
awesome
Kathleen
talking
was
to you.
super excited about it when
Yeah.
she said, "Oh, this lady is very cool." You have to come back and let us know how you're doing with this. I want to go call my kids right now. And
I know.
Say, here's a couple things.
Yeah,
it's more
totally.
nuggets, right? So we
Absolutely.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's definitely important for kids to connect with people who can be mentors, not just the parents.
Right.
I feel like they're more inclined to listen to people who aren't
Oh, yeah.
the mom and dad,
That
right?
circle.
Oh, we
And
talk
that's
about this all the time, having
yeah.
5 adults in your life that the kids can lean on that are not family.
Not
But
family.
it'd be neat to make sure they understand career path are
Just
also
another
those.
topic of conversation, right? I love
Oh, they're
it.
going to be so glad when they come home from college and we're like, we
Yeah.
have so much to share.
Who does that? That's good to wrap on.
That is.
We'll wrap with that.
Thanks,
This was
girl.
awesome.
Thank you, Melissa Duran.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yay.
It was fun. I loved
Wave
it.
to the camera.
Yeah.
Wave.